Another big, huge distinction is when you buy a property. Let me tell you what I love about private money. I always get a big check when I buy, and bring no money of my own to the closing table, right?
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are sitting down today with Mr. Jay Conner. Check this out, right? He has been in the real estate game. I'll call it the game, right? Because there's so many different aspects to it. But in the real estate game since 2003, has rehabbed over 400 houses. And for the past 7 years, he's completely automated his seven-figure real estate business to where he works, check this out, less than 10 hours per week on his business. All right. So one of his main things now, it's private money, and he is known as the private money authority. So because he has raised over $2 million in under 90 days at one point. So it's really impressive, right? To see the track record that Jay has. I'm very, very lucky to have him on the podcast. So Jay, welcome to the show. Thank you for spending the time with us.
Hey, Rafael, thank you so much for inviting me to come along. And I'm excited to be here to talk about one of my favorite subjects.
Let's do it. So you started in 2003 in buying and selling houses, right? So
that's right. Full-time 2003.
Full-time 2003. And you've been in this space since how long before then?
Yeah, so I was actually raised in the housing business. I was in for years and years, mobile homes, manufactured homes. But in 2002, 2003, pretty much all the consumer finance went away on that product. And so I knew if I ever got out of mobile homes, I wanted to get into single family houses and flipping houses and all that kind of good stuff. So I went, my wife, Carol Joy, and we're here in Eastern North Carolina, a real teeny tiny small town. We're in Morehead City, North Carolina, right here on the East Coast, population 8,000. And our total target market's only got 40,000 people in it. What? So we only do 2 or 3 deals a month, but our average profit per deal is 71,000 per deal.
Wow. Okay. So this is crazy. Normally we have the context that real estate, it's a volume game, especially for real estate investments. If you're looking at, locking up deals as an investor, for the most part, we're either buying from wholesalers or you are, hitting volume. So to be in a space that small and really niche it out and have a consistent business out of that, I mean, that's impressive. How do you do it?
Well, I'm able to buy all my houses with all cash offers. Now, that doesn't mean I don't buy some houses on terms, like houses that don't need many repairs or much rehab at all. I'll buy those subject to the existing note, that kind of thing. But that only accounts for about 25% of our business. The other 75% is we're offering all cash offers. Well, you see, there's nobody else around here consistently in our area that is able to make all cash offers. And the reason we're able to do it is because of private money. We make our offers where we can pay all cash, close in 7 days on our offers. And so, there's really no other competition like that around here that's doing the business consistently and, every day, every week, marketing, locating motivated sellers.
I can't imagine, right? I mean, from a kind of like taking a step back, I can imagine that in a population of $40,000, I mean, that's your niche client or target client, right? It's I mean,
40,000 people.
40,000 people. Yeah, you become an authority. I mean, quite fast if you're consistent in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, like I looked at, or me and my team. I don't have to go look at a house when you got a great team, but me and my team have looked at already 3 houses this week, and all 3 of them came from referrals of either individual for sale by owners or realtors referring them to us, because we've been doing it for so long here in the area.
So I mean, that goes to it goes to show longevity, right? You've been doing it for a long, long time, and now the deals are just kind of trickling in because you've built that background, you built that reputation, and I mean, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to the brand, right? I mean, you have your brand, you are a brand at that, this time. Like by this time, I'm sorry, you are already a brand. You're the buyer for the area, for those 40,000 people. So,
that's correct.
Yeah, interesting. So you started wholesaling, and I kind of want to. What's your background before you jumped into real estate and full time in 2003? What were you doing?
Again, it was mobile homes, you manufactured homes. That product is pretty much going away. I mean, there's not hardly any manufactured homes or mobile homes going up and down the highway, like there was. I mean, here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, I mean, this whole Southeast area was the mobile home manufactured housing capital of the world. So, but I knew, 10 years before we started flipping houses, I knew that we wanted to get into this business if we ever got out of mobile homes. So I've always been around pretty much my entire career helping people own a home. So like, we sell a lot of homes on rent to own, and we actually, particularly if we buy on terms, subject to the existing note or, seller financing. So when we sell on rent to own or lease purchase, we actually help the buyer get in their credit repair and actually help them own a house, which, as you know, is pretty different from what a lot of other real estate investors do. So it all comes down to having a servant's heart and doing our best to make an impact in the community.
Yeah, I mean, it's really at the end of the day, we're all solving problems, right? Like that's the biggest thing. Anybody who comes to us and is willing to trade money for speed or convenience, they have a problem. They have a problem that we can come in and help them solve. So I'm seeing a pretty interesting transition here. So you started fixing and flipping in 2003. So you started with mobile homes before then, and then eventually you started putting money together. And then becoming this authority in funding, right? And just private money.
And I tell you what, Rafael, it was totally by necessity.
Really?
So from
elaborate.
2000, from 2003. So I mean, this leads into having the right mindset of a successful real estate entrepreneur. So from 2003 to 2009, the first 6 years we were in the business, we relied on traditional funding. We relied on banks, local banks, to fund our deals. I didn't know any other way to fund deals those first 6 years. And in January, Rafael, January of 2009, I had 2 houses under contract. Between these 2 houses, there was over $100,000 in potential profit. And so I called up my banker, and I'd been using the same banker for those first 6 years. I called him up, and I'd had this conversation, Rafael, with him many, many times, told him where the properties were located. They're under contract. Here's my purchase price. Funding is going to be in 30 days or whatever. And, we need to close by then. Well, I learned on that conversation, Rafael, and you hear where this conversation's going, right? Yeah. I learned during that conversation very quickly that my lines of credit were closed. I had no funding available, and I didn't know that prior to getting my houses under contract. So I hung up the phone, and my first thought was, well, what am I going to do? And fear of failure is a whole lot more motivation than hope of gain. And I'm getting ready to lose over $100,000 in potential profit. So I called up a friend of mine whose name is Jeff. He lived in Greensboro, North Carolina at the time. And I told him what had happened. I told him the bank had cut me off. I didn't have any way to fund my deals. And I said, and he told me right there on the phone, he said, well, welcome to the club, Jay. My bank cut me off last week. Ugh. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Well, I never heard of private money. And Jeff, my friend, was the first person to even tell me that phrase of private money. And so I learned all about it, Rafael, and I put my program together. And so, in this world of private money, there's no applications, there's no approval process. I put on my teacher hat and I started teaching people in my own warm market, my centers of influence, what private money is. I started teaching them about self-directed IRAs. And do you know what, Rafael? To this date, I've never asked anybody for money. I've taught them what potential private lenders, individuals like you and me, I've taught them what private money is. And when they learn what private money is and what my program is that I'm paying for money, now they're chasing me. I ended up with a problem very, very quickly. I had more money than I could put to work on the properties, right?
Yeah.
That's a good problem. So here's my takeaway from that life experience. When I hung up the phone from my banker telling me I had no more funding, I had a choice to make. I had a choice. And that is I could quit, or I could continue to pursue and seek and find a better and faster and put me in the driver's seat way of getting funding for my deals. So one of my mantras that I started saying in my head that very day when I was on the phone with my banker was, it is impossible for you to fail unless you choose to quit. Unless you choose to quit. I tell you, another mindset piece there, Rafael. I learned a very valuable formula from Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield, is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series from years ago, him and Mark Victor Hansen. And I learned this formula from Jack Canfield. The formula is E as in Edward, E plus R equals O. That stands for event plus your response to that event equals the outcome. E plus R equals O. And so the way the formula, so with this formula, you are in control of your destiny because of the power of choice. So the event that happened may be something you created or attracted, or it may not be an event that you attracted or created. So the event in this example is I lost my lines of credit. I didn't have any way to fund my deals. That was the event. I didn't have anything to do with that event. I had a perfect credit. We made our payments on time all the time, but the event was outside of my control. But guess what? The outcome I was experiencing of losing my line of credit for that moment in time, I didn't have any way to pay all cash for my houses and those two that I had under contract. But guess what? I am 100% responsible for the choice and the response that I give to the event that happened.
Right.
So I can choose my response to the event that's already happened. And therefore, when I choose my response, I'm able to choose my outcome.
I love it. You answered one of the questions that I was going to ask you right now. Just, you were going through some game changer distress during 2009. I was going to ask you, how did you handle that? Because I know a lot of people just went flat out of business, especially they had stuff in the pipeline. I mean, we had the whole housing, market just come down on everybody, and anybody who was holding, the wrong way or leverage, I mean, really took a hit. So, I mean, but that makes perfect sense. E plus R equals O. I love it.
Yeah, there's always huge opportunities that come along because of difficulty. Right. So me being cut off from the banks back in 2009, I tell you, Rafael, that's the biggest blessing in disguise that ever happened to us in our business was losing our funding. Because look, if it wasn't for that adversity, I would not have had any motivation or any reason to go look for other, kinds of funding. So as a result, I got really good at raising private money. And then here's the deal, Rafael, that opened up a huge opportunity. In 2011, after I'd been raising a lot of money for a couple of years, then I started teaching other real estate investors how to raise money like I do. And I tell you, it just really puts you in the driver's seat. As a matter of fact, if I hadn't had that adversity, I wouldn't be on your podcast today, because that adversity led me to having all these years of experience attracting private money for my deals and for, thousands of my students.
Well, it kind of put you out of your regular orbit, right? It just knocked you into a different space, and you had to adapt and overcome, right? It's one thing that we always used to say at the fire department, like, yeah, you come across something that's different, that's a challenge, you adapt and you overcome. And I mean, you did it in a marvelous way. You really created a whole different, pocket of opportunity for yourself by diving, head on into this, seeing the need that was there, and then taking that to other investors. So you've consulted with over 2,000 investors, at this point, and taught them about private money funding and the strategy that's allowed you to build this this great machine.
Exactly. And like another huge opportunity in 2009, you remember all those properties were, the market was flooded with inventory of foreclosures, right?
Right.
But banks weren't lending money. So you had to have the cash to make offers and buy those foreclosures and bank-owned properties. So it was like a vortex that came together. I had all this private money and had all these foreclosures coming into the market, so I could actually pick and choose, which bank-owned properties I wanted to do.
So it's, this strategy is really putting you in the forefront of opportunity. Really, like it's you're leveraging something that wasn't there before just by the way you're packaging it, right? So, can you teach us a little bit about private funding and the way that you see it, right? So you have private funding, and then you have hard money, which is not the same thing. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So a private lender is an individual, a human being, just like us, that loans money either from their investment capital or from their retirement funds. And that's a big one right there. We've got 40 some private lenders funding our deals right now, and over half of them use their retirement funds to invest and loan money to us. So a private lender is an individual, and a hard money lender is typically a broker of money, a middle person that goes out and raises money from individuals, private lenders, and those private lenders invest with the hard money broker into their fund. And then the hard money lender or broker then loans it out to us real estate investors. Well, the way I do it, and the way I teach other real estate investors, is to circumvent the hard money lender or broker and go straight to the source, go straight to the individuals. So, and do business with them. So there's three main categories of where you find private money from these individuals. First category is your own warm market, people that you've got some kind of association with. They're in your cell phone, email, Facebook, LinkedIn, your own social network. The second category is what we call your expanded warm market. Sometimes a client of mine, a real estate investor, will say, well, all my people are broke. My people don't have any money. Well, first of all, I don't believe.
All my cousins borrow from me. Yeah.
But I teach people how to grow their center of influence very, very quickly. Where do you go? I say the more money you wallow in, the more money sticks to you, right? Yeah. So how can you grow your center of influence? Then the third category are existing private lenders, individuals that are already loaning money out. And a great place to find those people. Now, I've developed the private lender data feed. We get every existing private lender deal in the nation into our software. But another great place to go to network is to self-directed IRA companies that have networking events, and 70% of their account holders are looking to loan money out to real estate investors. But back to the hard money and private lenders. So interest rate is a big.
Sorry to barge in, but you said you put together a database. So you have a software that has a full database of existing private money lenders, right? That's what I got.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So that all comes from public records The software goes out to the entire nation, every county in the nation every month, and we get every private lender note. We get the private lender's contact information, the interest rate they're getting paid, their loan to value, the range of money, et cetera. And then we make that available, to our clients. I started out having our paralegal, my real estate attorney's paralegal, search public records in our local area, but that was a very, very, very slow process, to find those existing private lenders.
And as you started to build that base, you just kind of expanded on it and then, increase the network, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off on. I didn't mean to cut you off from the hard money. It just I wanted to highlight the fact that you guys have a database, because that's stuff that's very hard to get to if you don't have the right resources.
Sure. I appreciate that. So the big differences between a hard money lender or hard money broker and doing business with individuals is, of course, number one, interest rate. Your hard money during COVID, hard money lenders shut down altogether. Hard money lenders weren't even loaning any money. Right. Right after COVID came along. Well, I had more money chasing me than ever before from private lenders. Well, interest rate is big. So I pay our private lenders 8%. We can structure the deals to where we don't even make any monthly payments until we sell the property, and just let the interest accrue. And so, hard money lenders now are between 12 to 14%. So interest rate's a big difference. There's no origination fees or points with private lenders. There's always origination fees with hard money brokers and lenders. A hard money lender is going to do 6 months or 12 months on the length of the note. Our private lenders do either 2 years or 5 years, depending on if it's retirement funds or investment capital. If you haven't cashed out with the hard money lender, they may extend your note, but what do they want? More money. Right. That averages, 2%. Origination fees average 4%. So with a hard money lender, you're already up to 20% in the first year. I'm still at 8% with private lenders. Another big, huge distinction is when you buy a property. Let me tell you what I love about private money. I always get a big check when I buy. And bring no money of my own to the closing table, right? So we always borrow more than we need to purchase the property. So I can borrow up to 150% of the after repaired value, right? So the cash flow is just amazing with private money. So as opposed to a hard money lender or broker, I got to always bring a check to closing of either 20%
and you're talking a big fat check too. So it's not, it's not a little one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm bringing home $30 or $50,000 when I buy. I mean, who wants to get paid to buy houses? Much less or much more get paid again when you cash out.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are the, and I know you have a whole structure, right? Behind setting up, or finding private funding. What are some of the top things that if somebody wants to, start looking for their own private funding to put together deals? You already gave us, the 3 top sources of where people can find them, but what are the top 3 things, or maybe 5 things that somebody can look out for when putting private money together?
Well, first of all, they need to have their private money program. All right. So again, teaching potential private lenders, what's your program look like? What's your interest rate that you're going to pay? How are they protected? With all of my private lenders, I don't borrow unsecured funds. It's always backed by a mortgage. Here in North Carolina, it's a deed of trust. We always give the private lender insurance. So they're named as the mortgagee on the insurance policy. Mortgagees get paid first in case there's a total loss. How can they get their money? Can they get their money back in case of an emergency? I give all my private lenders a 90-day call option. So if they need to call the note due early, they can. Gives me plenty of time to replace their private money with somebody else's private money. And so, my book that I just recently released goes into all the details of exactly what the private lending program is that you would offer. And of course, a lot of people duplicate that. So the first thing you got to know is what's your program? Yeah. But even ahead of that, Rafael, even ahead of that, we got to get I tell people, unless you own the real estate in between your ears, it's going to be hard for you to own any real estate out here, right?
Yeah.
So we got to get our frame of mind right and our mindset right. I'm not chasing, I'm not begging, I'm not selling. I'm actually teaching people what private money is and what my program is. And I teach them about self-directed IRAs. That's a huge bit right there. I mean, that's another thing to get in place first. Establish a relationship. If somebody wants to use private money, establish a relationship with a self-directed IRA company that you can refer your new potential private lenders to that have retirement funds, because they're going to move those funds over to the self-directed IRA company. So then they can loan the money to you tax-free or tax-deferred for them and penalty-free. So you want to get your program in place, which doesn't take long, to do it all. And then if you're working in the warm market, your own centers of influence, there's 5 easy steps of raising the private money. Step number 1, make your list. Make your list. In my book, I go over in details how you should make your list of potential private lenders that you have some kind of connection with. A great place to start are people that are retired. If someone is retired, there's a good chance they got retirement funds, right? And there's a good chance they never heard of self-directed IRAs. They can earn an unlimited amount of money. We got one private lender that made $65,000 tax-free in 1 year.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's like
from turning something that's already in their bank account. Yeah.
Yeah. When they learn you can do that, it's like amazing. So number 1, make your list. And my book goes into all these details, but make your list. Number 2, you go down the list and you just have a casual conversation over the phone or in person, or you can invite people to a Zoom party. I've raised a lot of private money at private lender luncheons as well. I've raised almost $1 million at just one private lender luncheon. So step number 2 is a casual conversation. Now, in that conversation, and again, my book goes into the exact scripting of that conversation. It's real simple. But we have what's called the direct method, and then we have the indirect method. What I'm talking about is your call to action in your conversation. So in the direct method, if I'm talking with you over the phone and you're a potential private lender, after a little chit chat, I may say, Rafael, I've now opened up my real estate investing business to people that I know and trust. I'm paying insane high rates of return safely and securely. It's only for people that I've got a relationship with. But Rafael, unless you answer yes to the following question, there's no need for me to give you any more information. And that question is, do you have investment capital or retirement funds not giving you a high rate of return safely and securely? I call that the magic question. That's a direct question. Now,
love it.
When I started out, I was a little intimidated to ask that question. So I use what's called the indirect method. The indirect method is having a sample, and in the conversations, these scripts are in my book, but these conversations, indirect method is I'm having a little chit chat. I'm telling someone that I've now opened up my business to people by referral only. That's a powerful phrase, by referral only. And the indirect method is just simple. The call to action is, help me get the word out. Here's a very powerful phrase. I need your help. I need your help. People are created by God wanting to help other people. It's just our nature. We want to help other people if we can. So I need your help. And here's how I need your help. When you run across someone that's complaining about the volatility of the stock market or complaining about getting a stupid 0.17% rate of return in a 12-month certificate of deposit, would you let them know that I have a program now that pays really, really insane high rates of return? Well, guess what? If they've got funds and retirement funds, now they want you to tell them what your program is.
Yeah.
What
about me? Yeah.
What about me? That's how I got one of my first private lenders. I said, I need your help. I need you to help me spread the word. And so at the end of that conversation, he became my first $250,000 private lender. because I simply ask him to spread the word, right? That's step number 2. Step number 3 is I've got a 16-minute audio titled Stress-Free Investing that if someone's interested, I email them or I text them the 16-minute audio. It just gives an overview of what private money is. It doesn't spill the beans and teach my program. Step number 4 is I teach them my program. Exactly, what are the 15 items as to how the program works, how you're protected, and how you get high rates of return safely and securely. Step number 5 is they're going to give you a verbal pledge, and I never have to ask them for the money. By the time I get to the end of teaching them the program, the private money program, which only takes 15 or 20 minutes, they're chasing me. They're saying, well, how do I get started? I mean, if they've got funds, they can't get this kind of rate of return anywhere else safely and securely. So here's a really, really important point, and I'll take a breath and let you ask me the next question. But here's a really, really important point. Never teach your private lending program and try to pitch a deal to a potential private lender in the initial conversation. You already sound desperate. You've already compromised your position. We only want to teach the program. They give us a verbal pledge on how much money they got to loan. Do they have retirement funds? I need to introduce them to my self-directed IRA company. Now they have verbally pledged how much they got. Guess what? Now I go find a deal ASAP and I call them up. I've never sold or pitched a deal, Rafael. I call them up and I tell them 4 things. After a little bit of chit chat, I say, I got great news for you. I can now put your money to work. I got a house in Newport with an after repaired value of $200,000. The funding required for the deal is $150,000. Closing's next Thursday. You need to wire your funds to the real estate attorney's trust account by next Thursday. End of conversation. I didn't ask them if they want to do the deal. That's the most stupid question I could ask them.
They've already said it before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've been waiting on the phone call for our first deal, right? Yep. So it's important to do that one step at a time.
I like the methodology that you have behind it, and I think it's a golden nugget what you're saying right there. Do not pitch the deal at the same time you're asking for money. I mean, it's kind of like, it's a desperate move. It really is. You need to project confidence when you're asking people for their money, because you're going to put it to work. It comes into preparation, right? Like if you're prepared, you have to prepare ahead of time for when the opportunity shows up. I love it. You mentioned the book. What's the name of the book that you wrote? And I have it here, but
I just recently released it. The name of the book is Where to Get the Money Now. Where to Get the Money Now. And the subtitle is How and Where to Get Money for Your Real Estate Deals without relying on traditional or hard money lenders. And this book goes into detail step by step, exactly how I've done it, how I still do it, how thousands of my students across the nation do it. And Rafael, I would love to give the book. It's $20 or $19.95 at Amazon, but I'd love to give the book to your audience if they would just cover shipping, shipping.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. You're spilling the beans on that book in terms of how to find the private money, and I appreciate that, man. I think that's a huge give for my audience. Guys, if you're not taking this just for the cost of shipping, you're crazy. Especially if you're doing real estate investments and you're trying to get deals done, come in and buy them, and using hard money. It's just one of those things that it's really beyond a strategy. I mean, I think it goes far beyond that, because it really edifies your business, right? You are the buyer now, and you have the ability to reach out and then get things done. A lot of times hard money lenders, they have, okay, I got to appraise the property, I got to do this. They have things and red flags and stuff that they have to go through. When private money lending it's different. It's a totally different game. And when you know how to do it the right way, which is what you have, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So awesome. Thank you. How can
I got a special website where your folks can get the book.
Oh, spill it.
So the special website for your audience to get the book is free, just cover shipping. is www.jayconner.com/free book, FREEBOOK, Jay Conner with an ER, JayConner.com/free book. And I'll autograph it and we'll ship it right out.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to have that on the show notes as well. So people can go just click on it and go straight to it. So if you're listening to the podcast right now on iTunes or you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit up that link and just do it right now. I mean, take advantage of this. It's really good information. It can set you up for the next several deals that you have in the pipeline, maybe even shift the overall course of your business. So private money is one of those big things that people are often intimidated by. And I think it's usually because there's a lack of clarity and understanding as to how the whole thing works, right? But if you have that, the rest is just action. It's just, applied action. That's what it is. Jay, thank you so much. I think, you've dropped a lot of golden nuggets and clarified a lot of things that I myself was questioning about how to do private funding. I mean, I do work with a couple of private money partners, but those are relationships that I've had, for years, right? I've never had to go out there and actually just, break into different private, private money providers per se, and have those conversations. And I really, if I try to put it together and just collect a whole bunch of cash from people I don't know, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what step one is. I'm lucky enough to have a close network that I can reach out to, but that's a whole different thing, right? Not everybody has access to something like that. So this is something huge, and I appreciate you putting it out there for us. Jay, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, maybe reach out, have a conversation, find out more about your coaching, maybe perhaps, or just ask you a couple of questions, where's the best place to reach you at?
Sure. Well, I'll give my website, my general website, and then we actually answer the telephone at my office.
What? No, you don't. Stop it.
So you can actually put my telephone number in the show notes if you like. So yeah, they can just go to jayconner.com, JAYCONNER.com. And our phone number is 252-808-2927, 252-808-2927. And yes, I'm passionate about making an impact with other real estate investors. And any of your audience are welcome to pick up the phone and just give us a call.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Very, very appreciative of that. I have one question that I'd like to ask before we sign off. And that's if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what would you ask that young Jay Conner? Or what would you tell? Even
at 17 years old. So yeah, when I was 17 years old, I don't even know what a mentor was. I mean, I was going to college, but it just never occurred to me until many later years in life as to how much, actually two pieces of advice, how much getting a mentor that is in a realm of a career that you want to get in. Well, get a mentor and start working with someone that's already, proven themselves and has already been very successful at what you want to do. And that doesn't just apply to real estate investing. I mean, that's anything, hang around the people that are already successful. And my other piece of advice is when I was 17 years old, I never heard of masterminding. Masterminding and mastermind groups was actually, that phrase was coined, I'm sure by Napoleon Hill, all the way back in the book, Think and Grow Rich. And so, you and I are in a mastermind group together. I'm actually in 3 mastermind groups. And the benefit of that is hanging around like-minded people that are interested in what you're interested in. And so that's really 2 different ways, and I do both, to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. What's his name? Jim Rohn is credited with the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of the time with. Yeah. So if I were talking to my 17-year-old self, be very selective and intentional about who you spend most of your time with.
Wow. That's gold right there. That's gold. And yeah, you're completely right. I mean, masterminds, I know they have changed the course of my business and my mindset altogether. Big shout out to Matt Andrews for putting together Family Mastermind too. I mean, he's done a stellar job there. I mean, just putting in all kinds of great people. Every time I walk into that room, I feel like I'm the slowest one in the room, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a very good thing. I like to put.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be around people that are better than me.
Yeah. Jay, thank you so much. It's been a total pleasure having you. I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and just, clarify, everything that you have in terms of private funding. And of course, thank
Absolutely.
you so much. For that
thank you so much for having me.
It's been
thank
a blast.
You so much for having me.
Team, there you guys have it. It's a wrap. Stay focused. You got this.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.